Resolution 15-82-R, approving master agreement between the City of Batavia and Level 3 Communications for the construction, lease, and maintenance of certain fiber infrastructure. Resolution 15-83-R, Resolution 15-83-R, authorizing the execution of a supplement to consultant services agreement with NIU Regional Development Institute and CTC Communications for a commercial broadband feasibility study. Resolution 15-79-R, custodial services for the Batavia Government Center. I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Atek, second by Alderman, who was that? Stark. For the approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Atek?
Aye.
Stark?
Aye.
Chanzit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Bowman?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Rusado?
Aye.
Consent agenda is approved, 11 yes, no, noes, and 2 absent. Okay, moving to item number 6, matters from the public for items not on the agenda. Do we have anything? Yvonne?
Yvonne Dinwiddie, 1156 Pine Street in Batavia, and I have to apologize because I just got home a little over an hour ago, and I didn't have time to do the in-depth thing that I wanted to do. But I was reviewing some of the stuff that's on the agenda for tomorrow night at the COW meeting, and as you know, Carl and I have been very disturbed about all these incentives we keep giving to the businesses. And we're concerned about what the cost is to the residents of Batavia. And so I reviewed this incentive resolution that you guys are supposed to, I guess, vote on tomorrow. And here are just a few of the things that I came up with. I'm appalled at the lack of information that's presented to the council that would be vital to making a decent decision, a good economical decision on whether or not to give incentives to another company in Batavia. The reasons that were given by Mr. McGrath was this particular company uses a lot of electricity. We lost one of our 10 users of electricity, one of our top 10 users. We're forced to sell power at a loss. The theory is if we have to take a loss on some power, it should be sold to Batavia companies. What about the residents of Batavia? Who cares about us? Where is the payback to the residents of Batavia? Where is the hiring preference in these agreements for the residents of Batavia? What is the discount rate on or the amount of loss we would have taken on the open market for this power we allegedly would have to take a loss on if sold on the open market? Where is the actual quantification of payback and of the actual costs? What is the accumulative cost of all of these incentives, and how does it compare to the possible sale of power on the open market? When do you expect the power company, this Prairie State debacle, to get out of the red? And what happens when the cost of electricity becomes more competitive and you're proposing to put yourself into a 7.9-year agreement and discounts for 7.9 years? You're locking yourself into rates without having a real idea of what's going to go on in the future. This agreement supposedly caps their rate at 5%. Where's our cap? You know, we don't even get a cap on our taxes. You forgive the franchise fee, and the franchise fee goes into our general fund. Why does it go into a general fund when it's a darned electric charge? What happened to the enterprise fund? And why isn't that money going in there for the repairs and things that we need for that? And what is the rationale for using 2014 rates? Our residential rate in May of 2014 was 9.75 cents per kilowatt hour. Our residential rate today is 10.388 cents per kilowatt hour. And we have a 01906 franchise fee, and the PPAF, I'm sorry. And the PPAF in May of 2014 is .01875. Well, here, I just did a few, and I apologize to all of you back there because this is, pretty, and that way I can just give you an idea of some of the questions. Here, we have the May 14 rates for residents at 9.75 kilowatt hours. Plus, the residents get a $14 per month service charge. This was added in addition to our 9.75% or 7.75 cent kilowatt hour charge. And then we had a PPAF of .01875. So in 2014, our rates, and I just pulled a figure out of, I could have used mine, but I figured I'll just pull it out of here. If an average resident uses 200 kilowatt hours at 9.75 cents per kilowatt hour, it's $19.50 just for the cost of electricity, plus $14 for the service fee. And then we pay a water and sewer service fee too. And then the PPAF adds an additional 3.75 cents, and these are based on 2014 rates. So that brings that total bill up to $38.52 without the franchise fee and without the 4% tax. If we use today's rates, the 2015 rates, our kilowatt hour rates are 10.389 cents per kilowatt hour. We pay $14 a month for a service charge. That's before we do anything. And then we have the PPAF at .01906. So what that does is that gives us a $20.77 charge for electricity, $14 for a service charge, and $3.81 for a PPAF, and that's $38.58 for the residents for 200 kilowatt hours. Now, I bet we all use a lot more than 200 kilowatt hours. So anyway, if we give this incentive, and we'll just pull this 100,000 kilowatt hours out just for the sake, I should have said if we have 9,000 residents, figure out what that total income is and why can't we survive on that. Here, if we have 100,000 kilowatt hours, and if we were going to charge them 9.75 cents per kilowatt hour, it would be $975,000 in our pockets. But we're proposing to forgive the 4% franchise fee. And I don't know how that's figured, so I can't begin to make a guess on that. And then the PPAF, these are May 2014 rates of .01944. So we have 100,000 kilowatt hours, which comes out to $975,000. And then if you give them a 30% discount, you take off $292,500, and you're giving them 100,000 kilowatt hours of electricity for $682,500, which is 6.82 cents per kilowatt hour. You're forgiving the 4% franchise fee, and you're charging them, what was it? Where did I put that letter? Well, I have it here. The PPAF is lower too. I didn't put that on. I didn't get a chance to put all of it down. But this is what we're losing. If we were charging them the full amount, this is what we would get. If we're charging them today's rates, this is what we would get. $900,000. That's right. And we would be giving them a discount of $311,670, which gives them a $727,230 bill, $7.27 per kilowatt hour. And we, the citizens, are paying 10.389. Again, if you forgive the 4% franchise fee, who makes that up? It goes into the general fund, and allegedly it's to reduce our taxes. Well, how the hell does it reduce our taxes when you're forgiving it for the commercial, for the other people. It doesn't. It means we have to pay. I want to see a breakdown of the cost of all of these incentives to the citizens of Batavia, and I want to see the cumulative effect of all these incentives. And I want to know then, if we sold all this power on the open market, and we look at the losses we're taking with these incentives, how would that compare? We don't have that information because Bill has said numerous times, we can't quantify that. We can't do that. Well, by God, if I can do it, he should be able to do it. I'd like to see him fired. I've said that before, and I'm going to say it again, and this time I'm going to say it loud and clear, because you are not getting the information you need to make decent decisions.
Well, thank you, Yvonne. Tomorrow night, we're going to discuss this in the committee meeting. It'll be, I'm sure the staff will have some answers for some of the issues you've raised, and then certainly, I'm sure you'll be back tomorrow night, but it will be on, as you see, it's on the agenda. Bill, do you want to make?
Mr. Mayor, I wouldn't respond, except that this is the typical scenario where the comments are made when the meeting is being televised, and then when we go to committee and talk about the numbers, it isn't. If Mrs. Dinwiddie would be courteous enough to call us at any time, make a FOIA, or call us and come in and talk about any of these, I think we could satisfy most of them. For example, they are 2014 rates because this agreement was actually discussed and brought to the committee last year in 2014. Secondly, what she doesn't appreciate is that this is power that would not otherwise have been paid for. This company did not have to move here. This agreement was made in order to get them here and to take the place of a big power user. We were lucky enough to get a big power user to come into a building that was already set up for big power. The incentive only applies for power used in excess of 100,000 kilowatts per month. So until that, those 100,000 kilowatt hours are that performance goal is reached, they don't get an incentive. The incentive, the discounts go down. They're for 2 years, then they go down, and I would be more than glad to quantify anything she would like. And I think for the sake of the community, we'll just have to try and understand what she's getting at, and we'll make a presentation back to the entire council.
And I'd like to respond to that.
Well, I was making a remark to the chair.
Well, you can solve all of this by televising the committee meetings. Now, that's all.
Well, I just had to clarify, Yvonne, it's 9.75 cents per kilowatt hour?
9.7.
Well, the math, if there's 100,000 kilowatts, that's $9,700, not 975,000. I think you multiplied it as if it's $9.75.
No, it's 0.0975.
Times 100,000
Right,
is
but
9,000.
your math on the bottom part says $975,000 when it should be only $9,700.
Okay. Do we have anybody else in the audience? Carl?
It's 9 cents, not $9.
Well, first of all, I would like, Carl Dinwiddie, 1156 Pine Street, Batavia. I'd like to thank Gary for his memo last week. He gave the council 3 alternatives having to do with the stormwater utility, and then he gave the pros and cons of each one of those alternatives. And that's the way it should be. And I think what Yvonne's getting at is, this is almost an 8-year contract, and we don't know what it's going to cost. The incentive, if I read it right, the first year was 30% off of their electric bill, and I would assume if they're pretty smart business people, they already know they're going to use more than 100,000 kilowatts per month. That's probably why they are in this contract. So the first year, they're going to get a 30% discount. The second year, they're going to get a 30% discount, and then they're going to get declining discounts for 7 years and 9 months. But here's my disconnect. If I remember, Gary said that maybe in a couple years, we will be competitive with our electric company, because Commonwealth Edison is raising their rates and was approved by the Public Utility Commission for the last 2 years. So we're locking ourselves into almost an 8-year contract, when maybe in 2 years, our electricity will be competitive. The last point, I guess it would be called a cost-benefit analysis or something. I would like to see that stretched out, and there would have to be some assumptions. They're going to use 100,000 kilowatts a month, and this will be the price, but I would like to see a figure of what this incentive, a total bottom line figure, is going to cost. It could be we're giving this company $1 million break. I have no idea. But I would like to, that's why I'm talking tonight. I would like to see that tomorrow for somebody, Gary or Bill, to stand up and say, this incentive is costing us $500,000 or $700,000 to bring this place in. But secondarily, just to be clear, I don't think it's too great to get in that long of a contract, when I'm pretty sure I heard that our price of electricity may be competitive in a couple years. And I think in the last week or so, I believe it was the Supreme Court struck down some of the EPA rulings that would have been pretty draconian against coal companies, which environmental versus price is good for us anyway, so it won't run up the cost of Prairie State's operations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Alderman Wolf.
One of the things that I think we have to remember in this is that every kilowatt hour that we sell above and beyond what's being sold today does directly benefit everybody in the city by reducing the PPAF. So if we go out and sell 100,000 kilowatts a month, that should effectively reduce the PPAF, which should reduce everybody's bill, whether you're an industrial user or whether you're a private user. So that's good, and that's why we're doing this. This is one of the reasons we use as the pro and the con balance when we went through this last year. Yes, we're giving the money away, but if we're not selling it today, we're all paying for it. So everything that gets sold above and beyond what we're selling today helps everybody. So if we do have to discount some of it to get rid of that, it's better than just eating it and not making any money off of it at all. Then that does not help any of us. So, you know, you might not like these giveaways as people look at them, but they do help us in that respect.
Carl.
Real quick, my math is if you're giving them a 30% discount and we're selling it at a 7% loss, we're still losing 23% by giving them this discount. That's my math.
Well, we'll be glad to go through this at committee. This is really not the way to have an intellectual discussion. All I will say is the other part that is being missed is that we are selling power at a loss into the market. And the decision, and I think it makes sense, is if we're going to sell power at a loss into the market, wouldn't we be better off at selling it at a loss or selling it that way to get a new business in here? So we could be selling it out in the market at the market rate, which is less than what we're paying for it, unfortunately. And somebody in the next town over who's a direct competitor with any of our people in our industrial park, or say this new company, they could buy it cheaper and be in competition with our industry. So if we have this discussion, it makes more sense to do that for this company. And we are not selling it to them any cheaper than we would sell it into the marketplace if we did that. But again, this is a committee discussion, and I think we have enough questions to try and address what you've asked, and we will.
Okay, anybody else in the audience this evening? All right, moving to item number 7, which is the Chamber of Commerce. Holly?
That's a tough act to follow. I'll try to make you smile or laugh or something. We are in business for business, so I love this conversation, but I also like business coming to Batavia. So thank you for any efforts to bring jobs and utility users and people to come to our shops, maybe on their lunch hour, and use some of the great services and what we all love as being residents here in Batavia. I have a couple of events I'd like for you to, take out your calendars and start jotting down some dates for us. We have Windmill City Fest this coming up weekend, starting this Thursday night. We have the Chamber Mixer, which is our networking event for this month. It's free and open networking. Come out and meet some of these great business owners and friends of all of ours that own business here in Batavia. It's the beer tent will be open. We have a couple of our food vendors coming out early to have some eats for you and enjoy your time. There also will be a band that starts up later in the evening, so stay around for some of the great entertainment.
What's the times on it?
So the Chamber Mixer is from 6 until 8 p.m. this Thursday at Windmill City Fest, but Windmill City Fest will go on, I think, until 10 or 11 with the band. Windmill City Fest is all the way from this Thursday until this Sunday. And two important things about that. Friday night, the Batavia Chamber is taking over the beer tent and will be serving you all on tap on Friday night. So please come up and help to contribute to the chamber by, I hate to say this, but by drinking up. Hopefully you can, we can all talk about electric utility rates over a frothy mug of beer under the beer tent. Then on Saturday night, the Batavia Rotary Club will be on tap for the beer service on Saturday night. Again, your contributions in purchasing beer also come back to a local service organization, which as of July 1st, I became the president of our Batavia Rotary Club. So if anyone is interested in giving back to the community, not only in the service that you provide here as council members, but also in a service organization, come and join Randy and I at a couple of the coming meetings, and those are every Tuesday morning at 7:15 at Enticing Cuisine. That was my little public service announcement. Next, we have two upcoming ribbon cuttings. We have Saturday, July 25th. We are welcoming the new owners of the Batavia Animal Clinic. They will have a ribbon cutting at 11 a.m. on Saturday, July 25th. Also, GNC, the store out on Randall Road, will have their ribbon cutting on Friday, August 7th at 4 p.m. And I think that's more of a grand celebration and open house, but they wanted us to do a ribbon cutting as well. So please join us for that. Another event that's coming to the downtown Riverwalk is July 25th from 1 until 4 p.m. is the Cassie Chili Cook-Off. Some of you volunteered last year as judges and tasters for the chili, and we welcome you to enroll in that service again this year. Again, that's from 1 until 4 p.m. down at the Riverwalk on Saturday, July 25th. All of the things that we're talking about, I've been talking to you this evening, are great partnerships, whether that's the business community and the chamber or the park district, the city, and the chamber. So please come and support these great local organizations and come out to some of our events.
Any questions of the chamber? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving then to item number 9 on the agenda, which is ordinance 15-05, amending Title 11 of the land cash contributions for school and park districts. And Alderman Brown, do you have this one?
I do, Your Honor, thank you. And I also asked Scott if he could be prepared to give us a little bit of an update on it. There was a little confusion on the ordinance that was on the website as compared to what was sent out in our packages. But a little background here is this conversation first got brought up by the mayor many months ago, that he wanted the council to revisit the land cash ordinance. Consequently, he invited the school board down to have a conversation with us, and we discussed things with them. Plan Commission went through this thoroughly, and then it went back to the committee. It's been back to the committee a couple of times. The last committee meeting that it was discussed was on June 16th. And coming out of that was, I think, 2 or 3 different proposals that motions were made on before we finally came to a agreement that was voted on with a vote of 9 in favor of and 2 against. And essentially, I'll hit the high points on that. It was, the ordinance is now going to increase the per acre value of land from 100,000 to 125,000. It's also going to make no changes to the student acreage ratios. It's going to require that the school and the park districts to submit documentation regarding the qualified expenditures prior to the distribution of the land cash funds that are collected. And it's going to allow a waiver of land cash requirements for deed restrictions for deed restricted senior housing communities, such as what we might see out at the Mooseheart property or maybe even in other areas in the community in time to come. Lastly, it's going to require that the city council to review the land value amounts every 3 years, starting in 2018. So as I said, it was talked about quite a lot and battered around a lot. I think everybody on the council had opportunities to raise their issues and concerns, and I think everything was answered. And if Scott's here, if anybody has any questions for him. Scott, you got anything else?
Just the one thing is that there was a little confusion on the posting of the agenda item. Apparently, the committee, the whole version of it was posted on the city council website. That has since been corrected this afternoon, so the correct ordinance is on the website right now, and as well as was posted on the intranet if you got your information from there. So, but what Alderman Brown has said is correct. It has the $125,000 flat rate, and then we would review it every 3 years, starting in 2018, as per the direction from the committee meeting.
So I move for approval of ordinance 15-05.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Stark, or Atek, for the approval of ordinance 15-05. Any discussion? I'd just like to make a couple of comments. As all of you know, I'm one of them that kind of pushed this idea that we needed to take a look at this. And I mean, I think there is some history in Batavia that this ordinance has provided some beneficial subsidies to specifically the Batavia School District at a time when they were immersed in heavy construction of new schools. And we were able to hand over several $1 million to the Batavia School District, which hopefully they then didn't have to go out and bond themselves for and lay that on the backs of all of us who are property taxpayers. And so I think this has some beneficial ability. I am in agreement after I heard the discussion that this is not the moment when we need to really go crazy with this number, because I don't think, number one, the economy has recovered, nor do I see the housing activity that would drive a huge impact into the Batavia school systems at this point in time. But I certainly would encourage the city council, who's ever here in 2018, to take a serious look at this, and maybe it won't need to be changed again, but I can tell you, having sat here for a number of years and listened to a number of developers, that they're still probably out there in the hinterlands is the potential for somebody to come in here and add between, well, not including the Mooseheart property, which probably won't be greatly impacted by this, but some of the other housing developments that have come in here and kicked the tire in the last year or two, we could add between 500 and 1,000 new houses to Batavia. And if we start getting into those numbers, I think this is a time that the city council needs to be suggesting to the home builders specifically that we need to look at this fee and probably upgrade it, because if we get ourselves into a situation where suddenly we have the school district in here telling us that we need to build some more classrooms onto one of the schools or make some major capital improvements, I think this is a hedge fund, if you will, to help the taxpayers of Batavia kind of keep their hopefully heads above water with some of this. And so I just really think that this is a work in progress. It's something that we need to continue to keep our eye on. And if the day comes that we do get that housing boom comes back with another 1,000 new houses into the community of Batavia, that we hopefully have this fee ready to have it readjusted again so that we're covering ourselves and not dumping any huge additional school burden on the backs of the existing property taxpayers in Batavia. My 2 cents. Anybody else? Not the clerk call the roll, please, on ordinance 1505.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosado.
Aye.
Atak.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Transit.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Homan.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Ordinance 1505 is approved, 11 yes, no no's, 2 absent. Okay, moving then to item number 9, which is approval of a Class F liquor license for Water Street Studios Gallery opening on July 10th. And does somebody have, Alderman Atek, do you have?
Well, it's what you said. The chief has asked that we approve a Class F liquor license for Water Street Studios for a fundraiser or an opening, a gallery opening that they're having on July 10th, and they'd like us to waive the fee also. So I move that we approve this liquor license and waive the fee.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Atek, second by Alderman McFadden, for the approval of resolution, of the Class F liquor license for the Water Street Studios Gallery opening and the waiver of the fee. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Atak?
Aye.
Stark? Aye. Transit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Homan?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Rusado?
Aye. Motion's approved, 11 yes, no no's, 2 absent. Moving to item number 10, which is Resolution 15-77-R, objecting to Kane County rezoning of 2S483 Redant Road. Alderman Brown, do you have this one under Community Development?
I do, Your Honor, thank you. This was also discussed at the last committee meeting. A little bit of a history behind it here for whoever wasn't at that meeting was this petitioner came to the staff originally and wanted to rezone his property to what would be conforming with the city of Batavia and annex into the city of Batavia. In doing so, he found out that what our requirements are is that he would have to hook up to our city utilities and put sidewalk in, and one of staff's requirements, our requirements also would be that the road right-of-way would be deeded over to the city of Batavia. Currently, it is not. So he was in agreement with that to some point until he went out and found out how much it was going to cost him to install these utilities. At that point in time, he went to the county, talked to the county. The county said, sure, we would be happy to rezone you, and that would solve the issue. In doing that, we've got an agreement, the city of Batavia's got an agreement with the county where we can, they notify us of this and we can put up an objection to it. If we put up an objection to it, the county board then would have to have a 3/4 majority vote in order for this to occur. So that's why staff brought it to the committee for discussion on whether or not we would want to put an objection letter together to the county. Through the discussion at the committee meeting, we would really like to, we, meaning the city, the council, staff, would really like to see this individual annex into the city of Batavia and zone for the proper zoning that he's in and stay within the city. We're trying to get rid of these islands, not create more. So we talked to him about maybe some possibility of working something out with him where he wouldn't have to hook up his utilities until such time that his septic or his well fail. And he was somewhat agreeable to that. The dedication of the right-of-way, he was agreeable to that. He still has an issue over the sidewalk. That's something that maybe we could work out. But anyway, it sounded like it was something that we were going to be able to work out with them. So what we did is we asked them to talk to the county and/or our staff would talk to the county and see if they could just table the conversation for a while we tried to work it out. Staff did contact the county, and it's the county's policy that once it's on the agenda, that they leave it there for discussion, and it's going to be brought. So that's why the resolution is in front of us tonight. If we don't object to this, then they won't need a 3/4 majority vote. If we object to it, they need a 3/4 majority vote, but yet it's staff's thought, after talking with the county, that they would be receptive to just bringing it up for discussion and then tabling it and letting the city have some time to work it out with the homeowner. So I truly feel as though this is what's going to be able to be accomplished. Staff feels as though this is what they're going to be able to accomplish. So this is more of a kind of protect ourselves here to pass this resolution tonight, an objection, because we truly do feel, I think, the committee and the council, we truly do feel that this would be in the best interest for the city. So I move for approval of Resolution 15-77-R.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Stark for the approval of Resolution 15-77-R. Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Brown?
Aye.
Rusado?
Aye.
Atak?
Aye.
Stark?
Aye.
Transit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Homan?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Motion's approved, 11 yes, no nos, 2 absent. Moving to 11, the administrator's report, Mr. McGrath.
Thanks, Mayor. Today was the first day for Wendy Bednarik, the new Human Resources Director, and she's with us here tonight. We did a tour of all of the city facilities. It's very exciting. For us, it's really the first full-time, solely, a person dedicated solely to HR. It's especially nice because Wendy is a Batavia resident, and I think it just speaks highly when our own community can, produce somebody of the caliber of Wendy and work in her hometown. If you recall, Wendy was the HR director in Hanover Park for 7 years, and prior to that had extensive experience in the private sector, including with collective bargaining groups in all phases of HR. So we're very excited to welcome her aboard, and she'll be meeting with each of the department heads separately, and then of course getting her feet wet and looking at the whole department. So, but there's already plenty of things for her to do. We're in fire negotiations. We've got a employee notebook to be guidebook to be looked over, and we're talking about some customer service training. So, welcome, Wendy. The Batavia Main Street and Batavia Bike Commission have started a project to encourage businesses to become bicycle friendly. If you'd like more information, you can go to the Batavia Main Street website or the city website. I think everybody's aware that the 4th of July fireworks went very well. There were no police incidents, according to Chief Shira. The crowd on site in the surrounding area were the largest in recent memory. The police did get some comments, as they do, constructive criticism from residents who notice things about traffic direction, and so they're going to be taken into account when they do their debriefing, and they're always trying to fine-tune things because it's what the crowd is like out there. Brush collection, the next East Side collection will begin the week of Monday, July 13th. The west side the week of Monday, July 20th. And if you remember, your brush should be at the curb by 7 a.m. on the Monday of that week, but no sooner than the weekend before that. You can call Public Works to learn out more about the program, or visit the city website that has all the details. There's a link on the very front page, including the rest of the 2015 schedule. Lastly, talking about construction schedules is always difficult, especially this year with the rain delays. We've experienced an issue with an underground storm sewer structure at the intersection of South Batavia Avenue and Main Street. The schedule for the repair of that is difficult to establish because they have to coordinate their work with the resurfacing project, which in and of itself is subject to the weather. So when we're able to actually do our own work, the first day one southbound lane will be closed for a few hours so the structure can be repaired. The second day they will have both one lane closed on the southbound and northbound lanes to make the asphalt repairs. So the intersection will remain open throughout the construction, but there's going to be some restrictions, and we were hoping this morning that we could say that it would begin midweek at the earliest, but it's just all dependent on the weather, so all we can really say is that as you see the asphalt finishing up on Route 31, don't be surprised if there's a couple of days of restricted driving down there at that intersection. So we apologize for any inconvenience, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Any questions of the city administrator this evening?
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports, community development, Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. A few meetings or a few items to announce for tomorrow night's committee of a whole meeting. That will be tomorrow evening at 7:30 right here in this room. A couple items on the CDC agenda is the consent agenda, which is the acceptance of a deed for Brenton Court Detention Basin. Another item is the amendments for the text of the zoning code, and then just an update on streetscape. Plan Commission has been canceled for this coming Wednesday at 7:30, and Historic Preservation is scheduled for this coming Monday, July 13th at 5:30. That's all I have.
Okay, Government Services, Alderman Atek.
Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about street naming, Flynn Street, Oswald Avenue, Pamarco Drive, and Shumway Avenue. And there'll be also a discussion regarding Ordinance 1525, an amendment for portions of Chapter 5 of Title I of the Batavia Municipal Code. That's all I have.
Okay, City Services, Alderman Wolf.
Thank you, Your Honor. We do not have anything on the agenda tomorrow night for Committee of the Whole.
Public Utilities, Alderman O'Brien.
Tomorrow night, we will be discussing Resolution 15-80-R, Incentive Agreement with AGS Technology. Should be a lively one.
Okay. All right, moving to other business. Anybody in the council of other business they wish to? Alderman.
As the council representative on the BATV board, I wanted to let everybody know that we do have a vacancy right now on the board for an at-large member, so we're looking for somebody from the community to step up and be on the board at BATV. Information will be out on the BATV website at mybatv.com, or you can always contact me and I can give you the information on it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody, Alderman O'Brien?
As I think everyone's aware, I've had a flood at my home on June 15th, and so we're replacing furniture, and my wife and I went out to Odd Van Furniture, and I just have to say that they were very professional and very accommodating to us. So we've made some purchases, and I would recommend anyone looking for furniture, head to Odd Van. They've just taken very good care of us.
Okay.
Got it.
Alderman Brown?
Just one comment. If you could, maybe either yourself or Bill take a look at, I was just kind of looking at this tonight and thought, we're kind of shortchanging these other committees that we've got going on here. We don't announce when they're going to be taking place so that the public knows, because maybe people might want to join in on those. I'm thinking, the Environmental Commission and the Bicycle Commission, maybe if you could think about what chairman should announce those, kind of who they would fall under, so we could start getting those announced.
I mean, all those are Bike Commission, Environmental, they're all out there meeting on occasion, so Historic Preservation, so yeah, we can try to incorporate that. It's a good thought. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving to the mayor's report, a couple things. First of all, today at 5 o'clock was the deadline for applicants to file for the vacancy in the 4th Ward, or 4th Ward residents, due to the resignation of Alderman Sam. I had to be gone the last part of the afternoon here, so I don't know for sure if I got any more applicants or not. I'll know hopefully tomorrow morning. Obviously, I'll be able to have my secretary check all the sources of whether somebody emailed me something or something got dropped off or sent in. But as of this afternoon, I only had one applicant for the job that had come in and handed me a resume and said that they wanted to be considered. So I'll put the list out after we double check tomorrow who all the applicants, if we got more than one. If not, our next thing is to, a week from tomorrow, have the interview with those folks and then appoint the person at the next city council meeting. But I got one resume, I'll tell you that, and I think it's a good person. But I mean, I thought we would have more than one, but maybe we do and maybe we don't. I just don't know for sure, so I don't want to sit here and tell you we only got one. We may have two, and I just wasn't here to get it at the end of the day. So I just got back here right before the meeting started. So anyway, that. Also, as you know, we have discussed that with the announced resignation of Mr. McGrath, next year we are going to begin the process of having some discussions about selecting a new city administrator. And as I've shared with all of you, we want to put together a couple of discussion sessions with the aldermen, specifically to talk with a consultant I'd like to bring in that will be kind of overviewing the process for us and then putting together kind of what all of us collectively are looking for as a city administrator. And that person will probably also be talking to the department heads and the business community and others and trying to do something. So we had hoped to kind of kick that off here sometime this year, but in talking to some of you, and I'm not pointing the fingers at anybody, I know there's going to be a number of you are going to be gone here in the next 4 to 6 weeks. There's some absences that are going to occur. So I'm a little bit reluctant to try to throw this out here before probably the end of August at the very earliest, because we got, some of you are going to be gone, and I'd really like to have the entire city council participating in this exercise. So you still, you asked me, where we are with this, and that's where we're at with it. We will be doing it, but probably I'm going to suggest we're going to be, so if anybody here has got some vacation you're going to do in September or October, or the latter, say the last week in August, if you could let me know about it so we can kind of work this around and hopefully come up with some dates. And then secondly, we've had this request that we do this retreat of the city council to talk about council culture. And I guess I feel like I have the same problem going right at this moment with that, in that there's several of you who are going to be gone in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm not dismissing that, I'm just suggesting to you that we're probably going to have to do that end of August or sometime in September. But we do want to go ahead and try to do that. But again, because of, this is just the vacation type of the year and the family and everything else that's out there. We do have all this stuff kind of in the works, and we will be doing it. It's just I want to make sure we can get everybody's input and everybody be invited to participate in it. So that's the update on that one at the moment. So I would tell you that we will have some, probably, hopefully, some definitive dates. The second city council meeting in August will be able to give you some times. And I've asked specifically our consultant on the city administrator to give me some dates of when he and his staff would be available, and so that we can fly some dates by all of you collectively and see if we can make some of these work. So that is in progress, and that will be going forward. So I would like to conclude tonight, however, by just thanking publicly all those, starting with the Fireworks Committee, which is chaired by Mark Davis, who is our ESDA director, and we have several members of the City Council that have been very active members on that. We have Alderman Stark and Alderman Callahan, and I guess Alderman McFadden showed up yesterday when I had to go do something else, and you and your family were quite supportive, along with Alderman Callahan and his children and a number of other folks. We got the fireworks grounds picked up and all the litter picked up. And did I miss anybody from the council who was there yesterday? But then beyond that, and we've read the names, and I don't want to start reciting them because I'll forget one, but we have there's about 8 other citizens who are really hardcore members. And I think there's a sentiment amongst those who are active in the Fireworks Committee that we'd really like to have some more hands show up and want to get involved in the game. And we had some people show up on 4th of July I'd never seen before, as far as this go, that were circulating and passing around kettles and helping us out in a variety of ways. You have to appreciate that is kind of a monumental task, because that whole thing is paid for by donations. We're not in the taxpayers' back pocket here to be paying for fireworks and music and all the other stuff that goes along with that. So that rate, we need about $40,000 a year in round numbers to put that show on every year. And as I say, hopefully we can continue to do it, but I would like to hope that we do it by the donation route. And we've been very successful with corporate sponsors paying for a large share of it. But we do need to go out and kind of shake the trees of the community a little bit and see if we can bring out some other people. So I would just send out to all of you as representatives of your ward, if you know people in your ward who have said, gee, I'd like to get involved in something, or I'd like to do something, don't hesitate to send them our way and say, you can call my office, or one of the other members of the council, Alderman Callahan or Alderman Stark, and we'll be happy to clue them in as to when the committee meetings are on that one. And there's a number of things to do even in the off season on that. So, but this past weekend, I think, was a highlight of success. The police are of the opinion that we had perhaps a record crowd there. They were scattered. It used to be in the old days that some of us will remember when we fired them off over on Illinois Avenue at Memorial Field, you had everybody in one place at one time. Now at the high school, we started out on the high school grounds. Now that's been expanded to include Engstrom Park. And now with the advent of Randall Road, we have all these parking lots out there where we can park literally thousands of additional people. And now we're told that it's become, I've had this told me by a number of residents, that this has become, invite yourself to Batavia night if you have a friend or relative who lives in close proximity in one of the subdivisions around there, that it's like Party City in Mill Creek and Tanglewood and Weaver Landing and all the other subdivisions that surrounded Georgetown, all the places, everybody's got a party going in their house, and we get a lot of people we don't even know there. So people say, well, how many people were there? Well, we really don't honestly know, but I think it's Chief Shira, what would be your guess, Chief, in numbers, 15,000?
I'd say over 15,000.
Yeah. So that by far is, at the end of the night, when it's all over with, that it always generates the largest traffic jam that we have in Batavia at any other time of the year. Nothing else comes anywhere near to that generation of motorized vehicles. And so we had some folks today call and express their concerns about how slow we were, but I think the police department has done an excellent job of kind of devising a game plan so that the number one thing we're trying to do is safely get everybody out of there. And in that situation, you got a lot of people with small children, babies, strollers, old people, and canes and walkers. You got just about everything, and they're out there in the dark. And so we basically shut Main Street down for about 25 minutes and let all that group kind of disperse before we start letting cars onto Main Street. So one of the problems we had this year, so I was told this morning, is that, well, we weren't able to successfully totally shut the street down because we had all the streets shut down, but there were some private driveways along Main Street where somebody who was in the house decides they were going to leave, and they back out of the driveway and come down Main Street. So I had one lady suggest to me we need to secure every driveway on Main Street, not let any. So, I mean, it's a situation, but the fire department, the public works, the police, ESDA, the entire city staff is there doing everything they can. We bring all the police out. Chief Tyke has most of the fire department out. And what I'm very proud of this year is that I hear, you know, you have to turn on the news and listen to any one of the Chicago news, and you hear of all this violence that occurred on 4th of July, and people getting shot and beat up and hit, and knock on wood, we didn't have anything. It was about as quiet. I mean, we had a great crowd, but we didn't have anybody misbehave. I don't think we arrested anybody. In some years, we've had to do that, and other times we've had folks come in from out of town with groups and start causing little problems, but we were really cool here this year. So we had a really great run for the 239th birthday, and this was the 65th annual Batavia Fireworks Show. We've shot that show with donations every year since 1950. And so I think the community should be proud of what is done there. And the other thing I will say about it is that there's an air of cooperation between, you know, the Chamber of Commerce and Main Street and the Batavia School District and the Batavia Park District. They're all in there with us, either contributing land or resources in some form or fashion. So it really is a multi-community group event that probably would not be able to be done if we didn't have that spirit of cooperation that's out there. And at the end of the night, I guess the only thing you get out of it is a feeling of success that we were able to do it and not have any great degrees. But I've had a number of people tell me that the thing they really like about it is the memories that they make specifically for their younger children and the sense of patriotism and the virtues of democracy that are kind of shared by going through that experience. And because of the program and the music and everything that we do, we certainly send hopefully a patriotic flavor at the end of the night about what patriotism in the United States of America and citizenship and freedom are all about. And so it's the one proud night of the biggest traffic jam, but I think that's a small price to pay for the good things that we got. And I've had several people today thank the city for the nice memories that their children or their grandchildren got on Saturday night at that field because of the nice way it was handled and the safe way it was handled and the great way it was done with such pride and dignity as it applies to the American experience. So everybody that was involved needs to pat yourself on the back because it was a very successful evening. So with that, Alderman Brown, did you want to make some comment?
Oh, sure. Regarding volunteers, every year we always talk about it, and it would be great if anyone, there are so many little things that people could do that would be just so helpful. Just start thinking about a group that they want to help with parking lot attendance and things like that. And so all of those little tiny things are part of making a much bigger show, and they don't take very much time, and we're more than happy to have anyone help us on the committee. It's always interesting after the show's over, we stand there with our collection buckets and people walk by us and I think, oh, you would have paid $8 or $9 to go to the movies, and it's worth it just to give us $1 for the collection, and we'd be really appreciative because that really is the start of next year's collections for fireworks. But what I think is most interesting about the fireworks is Friday night I was at the White Sox game, and they had one sponsor. It was Shark Week on the Discovery Channel, and they put on their fireworks show, which was about the equivalent of ours, and I was very impressed by their whole deal. The next night, the company that does our pyrotechnics, I asked them, I said, do you know who does the White Sox? And they said, yeah, we do. And ours were on par with the White Sox. And so all of our little sponsors and all of our citizens and all of the people who gave all that money was able to put on just as good a show as they did in downtown Chicago for the White Sox. And so I'm very impressed with what we're able to pull together every year for Batavia. So hopefully this year more people will step up and decide to just put in just a little bit of time to pull off that big show so that Marty and I aren't running around like crazy people till 1 in the morning. So, and that's all I have to say. And thank you everyone for attending.
All right, you want to say anything, Alderman Callahan, about it?
No, I think it's just funny that every year when we're done and the fireworks are just about ready to start, we're all sweaty and nasty and of a whole year of getting ready. And we'll both look at each other and be like, ready to quit. And then the fireworks go off and the show will end. And we're like, all right, well, I'm recharged for another year.
Yeah, we don't want this to end on our watch. We've decided we don't want the fireworks to end on our watch, so we have to hand it off to other people before we can quit.
Right. So if anybody wants to be treasurer next year.
I think we've set quite a precedent and a tradition here that it would be, somebody came in and said, okay, the city council needs to appropriate $50,000 a year to pay for the fireworks. That would be a bitter pill for a city council to swallow after it's been done this way for so long. And there's such a community pride and background into this thing. Hopefully Batavia's of the mindset that they will never let that occur. So I think it speaks well for what we're, truly at the essence, at the end of the day, what this town is really all about. So, Alderman Brown, entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn the July 6th City Council meeting.
Second.
Move by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman O'Brien for adjournment. Clerk, take a voice vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.